1. And good morning, everyone. I'm Kelly Knapp.
And I'm Lee Barrows.
And I'm Rayford Brown.
Great way to start the morning.
A very good way
Yeah.
to start the morning.
TGIF.
Yes.
Yeah, it looks like a pretty Friday out here. The sunrise was absolutely gorgeous.
Well, good. Glad somebody can see it because we can't in here. We need a window. But
We
yeah,
do.
yeah.
You know, that was the one thing about here that when the sun comes up just when it's still dark, just before it gets turned light outside. Normally I'm locked in a dungeon, but here I'm sitting around with the windows all the way around me. It is so cool.
Oh,
Looks nice.
so you have you're in your basement, aren't you?
He's in his lair.
In
No,
in your lair, in
no,
your
I'm actually up
kingdom.
here in the the den.
Oh,
Just right
okay.
the den.
That's nice.
Fireplace is sitting here. It gets me a few degrees colder, and guess what? I'll be waking up to
Mhm.
Oh,
a big
yes.
roaring fire.
He's in his recliner right now.
Yes,
then.
that
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
know,
yes, I'm in the
Yeah.
recliner.
Yeah, I figured.
that's
Yeah.
the easiest place to be after you've had surgery.
Yeah.
I tell you what, it's a lot easier than bed or a lot easier than walking around and all that sort of good stuff.
Yeah.
I did get out to see a little daylight yesterday,
Well,
but
good.
it didn't stay very long.
Mhm.
Um, I managed to get back a little bit of my stolen property from 2.5 years ago, but anyway, I got it.
Well, that's good.
But I'm looking for more. It's there somewhere. It's hiding,
Yeah.
and until I get it all, I'm not going to be happy.
Well, I don't blame you. It's your stuff.
That's
It needs
right.
to be given
That's right.
back to you. So,
Yeah.
You feel so violated when somebody does that to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, since they apparently did not recover it, I think a civil suit is in order now
yeah.
because magazines are expensive.
Yes, they are.
Yes, they
Nearly
are.
Mhm.
So is ammo.
$45 a piece for
Yeah.
for this particular pistol,
Mhm.
and plus oh God, 21 at least 21 rounds of 45 ammo, of which we know costs like $300 a bullet these days.
Yes. Well,
So
had the serial number been tampered with?
no, doggone
Good.
it. I was glad it had not because that's it's a nice weapon, and I'd hate to give it up, and and I would have to, but I was willing to do that because that gentleman would be in hey, by now. Let me explain something to you. I would have been already in front of a U.S. Attorney and the ATF.
Mhm.
Don't care whether they dropped charges in Onslow County. Don't care whether his lawyer made a really good deal or not. It does not have any impact on the federal government. So, but too bad.
Mhm.
So sad. But I'm glad he didn't. Honestly, I'm just um, I'm glad to get my gun back, and I'm glad it's in good condition.
Well, that's the most important part is the
Yeah,
gun.
yeah. The sheriff's
Mhm.
office had it in their evidence locker for these 2+ years, and it's in good shape. Didn't get beat up or anything else. I had it in an individual evidence box, signed, sealed, and delivered. And guess what? The serial number that I had matched the serial number on the gun.
Oh,
Amazing, isn't it?
I like
oh,
that when that
that's
happens.
good.
Yes.
Folks,
Yes.
if you've got a gun, if you've got some of these really expensive watches, if you've got some TVs, or they don't steal those so much anymore, they're just too big to get out of the house. But if you've got some valuable stuff that's got a serial number on it, make sure you keep a record of it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of a hint here. Since not everyone can immediately gain access to who the person whose serial number it is, um, it will come back eventually. But if you will take a piece of paper and write down your North Carolina driver's license number, do it NCDL and your license number, okay?
Right.
Because you kind of keep that for like ever and ever and ever. And then take the butt off of your pistol. It's one little screw there in most of them. Shotgun, rifle, pistol, shot, it matters not. Take the butt off someplace where you can secrete this piece of paper with your North Carolina driver's license number on it.
Oh,
Mhm.
yes. You talked about that before.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good
And
idea.
that is the easiest. You don't destroy the gun. It's just a piece of paper that's there. Bad guys don't go looking for that. And I'm not giving away any secrets to bad guys because they're so stupid they don't get up at this time of morning and listen to radio.
True.
So
Yeah.
yes. So anyway, that's just a little hint, and it's oh my God! Even we found a stolen 12-string guitar one time because a guy had put down inside the guitar, he'd put down a piece of paper with his driver's license number and his name on it.
Wow.
Duh!
Mhm.
And
Gosh.
those are valuable guitars, 12-string guitars. This was a very nice one. Anyway, hey, let's get on for a little bit of news.
Go right ahead.
Remember when candidate Joe Biden, when he was running for office, top
Yes.
office of the nation, he promised you, he promised me, he promised the crown prince of Saudi Arabia that Saudi rulers would face consequences in the brutal death of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Khashoggi worked for the Washington Post and was based in the United States. Well, either Biden forget what he said, didn't mean what he said, has had a change of heart, or is no better than all of the other politicians we tend to elect. Is lying to you and me for a forgivable sin? You can steal some stuff and I can forgive you for it. That's one thing. But lying to me, lying to the public, especially from a power seat like the U.S. presidency, I'm not going to forgive you for that. You're done. I'm not going to forget it. You're done. I do not think lying to us, the American public, is a forgivable sin. The Biden administration declared last night that holier than thou Saudi Arabia's crown prince should be granted immunity and lawsuits for his role in the Khashoggi murder. Khashoggi's widow and others are bringing suits, have brought suits in the United States, because that's where Khashoggi was based, against the crown prince. They brought lawsuits. The president thinks Khashoggi should be granted immunity. Biden's decision is not going to be binding, by the way, unless a federal judge agrees with the president and rules that longtime tradition protects others from the U.S. judicial system. I don't like it. I don't like it that so-called diplomats get away with everything from murder to parking violations in Washington and New York every day. Those are bad enough. But for this guy, this is absolutely beyond belief. It's beyond what I can comprehend. And I'm like, we are just helping out the enemies of the state of this country.
Absolutely.
Yep, agreed.
I'm just
Yeah.
fed up with it.
I agree. I don't think diplomats should have protection.
No,
Because
not when they go out and violate laws.
when they go out and violate the laws. No, I don't think that.
No,
There
they
should
come
not
into
be
this. That's right.
this long-standing
It is. Yeah.
tradition
hmm
should now end,
Yep.
effective immediately.
Well, if
Yeah.
we were to go to their
Mhm.
country, wouldn't they hold us to following their laws?
Yes. Yes.
So
Yeah,
they should follow our
yes.
laws.
hmm
You let the president go out and do something to
Yeah.
one of their journalists here in this country and see what they do.
Absolutely. Well, I think we're going to see a lot of the tide changing here soon with the
Mhm.
Republican takeover of the House. They're already getting their committees together and going after the FBI, the DOJ for their investigation into the Hunter Biden story. I think they're going to go after Hunter Biden. And now they're talking about
Mhm.
going after Joe and Biden.
Mhm.
Joe
So
Biden.
I'm sorry. When do they investigate Hunter Biden?
Exactly.
Mhm.
Wait, what a joke!
And I
Mhm.
even heard the word yesterday, impeachment. And I'm like, wouldn't it be nice to get a president that we wouldn't be impeaching?
That is not the first words out of your mouth.
That's right.
We're bringing you to justice.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
We're going to make absolutely sure that all of the T's and all of the I's have been dotted.
Yes.
We're going to make absolutely sure that everything you have done and do in the future is by the book. Now, here's the first thing that's going to occur today when I hang up. Where you're going to get 2 or 3 phone calls, 2 for sure. They're going to say, well, what about Trump? I don't care. I do not care about Trump.
But
I
they.
don't want him president. If they want to, they failed miserably to get him impeached.
Mhm.
They weren't able to do it. That does not make an excuse. How many times have I said it? Highway patrolman who pulls out on a highway on Interstate 40 and he picks up a car running 85 miles an hour in that 70-mile-per-hour zone. And the guy says, well, you know what? Those other people up there, they were running faster than me. Guess what? I caught you.
Mhm.
I didn't get them. Maybe next time I'll get them. And I don't get you.
Absolutely.
So what I'm after right now, a bird in the hand is worth 47 in the bush.
That's right.
Yeah. True.
When I get my hands on you, you're good. They missed. Let's go
Mhm.
back to bird hunter days. You missed 12 birds in a row. You can't worry about those. You ain't taking those home for dinner.
Right.
The next 2 you get, good. You got a meal.
Mhm. I agree.
The other 12 do
Mhm.
not count.
Absolutely. Well, I'm gonna tell you what, the Jim Jordan at the head of these committees, you better watch out because that man is
Mhm.
fierce.
Yeah, well, they need some special prosecutors. They need some real
Mhm.
honest to goodness special prosecutors. And I don't really want to call them prosecutors. They need some special investigators.
Mhm.
They need an outside agency, and I don't know where it would
I
be.
was gonna say, who would that be?
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
don't know. Let me appoint me to direct one, head up one. I'll find a group
Oh
Yeah.
Lord, I
of
know you
people a
would.
whole lot smarter than me. All I do is assemble the team.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about me. I wouldn't have anything to do with it. Just let me assemble the team that would take care of the problems. All I want to see is, did any of this occur? And
Mhm.
how close to the president was this stuff?
Agree.
I'm tired of
Yeah.
reading in the media, whether it's on Fox or some other right wing political thing, and I'm not calling Fox a right wing. I
Mhm.
said Fox or some right wing political outlet, or on left wing political outlets.
Yeah.
I'm tired of hearing them. I don't care about what they think. Their views are meaningless to me.
That's right.
Yeah.
I don't care. I do care about what is just and what is not. But if all we get to hear is the political rhetoric, then you know what? Sometimes I get a little concerned about that. All right,
Well,
two more little items, then I'm gone.
all
Okay.
right.
Got some concerns up in Oregon. A small percentage, a very small percentage of by 1.5% margin, uh, a something they call Measure 114, where voters appear to have passed it back in the midterm election day, bans ammunition magazines capable of holding more than 10 rounds and mandates the creation of a permit to purchase system that includes hands-on firearm training. Here's the thing.
Hmm.
It passed
Mhm.
on November 8th. It goes into effect December 1st.
Mhm.
They cannot get this system in place. That's at the beginning of the peak of hunting season.
That's
That
right.
it's not a handgun ban. It's not a ban on handgun magazines. It's a ban on certain capacity magazines and this and this and this. But in addition to that, there's a requirement that to even buy one of these guns, you're going to have hands-on firearm training. Never mind that little old me, who's 70,000 years old, has been shooting handguns since I was 13. I owned one when I was 15, and I've been shooting rifles and shotguns since I was 7 or 8. Never mind me that I've had all of this experience and I don't have a bunch of holes throughout the house or in other people. I got to go take this stupid little course,
That's
and
crazy.
I've got to pay somebody to teach me.
Well, yes, I do understand the despair there. That it just does not seem
Well,
plausible.
here's a part of the rest of the disparity here. What's going to happen to those people who go out and illegally purchase handguns or rifles or shotguns? When they go out, are they going to have to get training? How are they going to get around it? The
Oh,
same way they get around
ev-
breaking other laws.
that's right.
They
Mhm.
don't care
No, they
what
don't.
laws they break. Laws are written on a piece of paper, and I can burn every one of them without a problem.
Mhm.
They don't mean anything to lawbreakers. Nothing. Nothing. Um, I don't know. It's just a little bit on the really, really irritating side, and it's getting a little bit disgusting. All
Well,
right, number 3 and final. And I've talked about it on the local level. I've talked about it on the state level. I've talked about it on national levels for years. There are any number of reasons for holding certain critical details from you and me when crimes are committed.
Mhm.
A blanket dropped over a criminal investigation which claimed the lives of 3 young women and 1 young man seems a bit of a reach to me. There are times when police agencies hold back too much, allowing rumors to spread throughout a community and beyond. In Idaho, earlier this week, The 4 students I just mentioned were found dead in a home, a quadruple murder, they said. That's according to their investigation. But for some reason, 5 days later, they have so far refused to list even a preliminary cause of death. I understand that. For instance, when a firearm is involved, police may withhold the fact that it was a specific brand of gun. They can tell, and some of them by the spin on the bullet, all right, on the ballistics, or a specific caliber. Keeping that information back helps weed out the nut jobs who walk in and say, "Yeah, I killed him. I shot him with my, what kind of guns you use? Well, what kind did they use? Well, we're not telling you."
Mhm.
Or they may walk in and you trip them up and they admit to what caliber gun they had and what brand it is. Well, guess what? You haven't mentioned it and it has not been broadcast or in the newspaper. Well, guess what they just did? You sneak one by them. That's good law enforcement.
Mhm.
That's the way it should be done. If the details of the murder are horrific, I understand protecting the families.
Mhm.
But to offer not one piece of information causes rumors and speculations,
Yeah.
which can add more confusion to the case. Is there some sinister plot that's going on here? Do parents need to take their kids out of college? Should National Guard troops be patrolling the streets? Should the school close down and the mayor put out a curfew? The police in Idaho are doing nothing to convince the citizens of Moscow
Mhm.
that they have the
Mm.
situation under control, because guess what? They don't.
I agree with that.
Oh,
Yeah.
I absolutely
Yeah.
agree too.
Well,
Yeah.
mainly because it came out yesterday that 2 other roommates were in the house were unharmed.
Uh-huh.
The whole story is
A-
bizarre.
And the fact that the police weren't called to the home until like almost noon.
Yep.
It's a whole there's a lot of weirdness going on with that.
It's a very
Yes.
bizarre
And
story.
they're claiming they were stabbed.
Right.
But
Who's claiming it? There's
that
been no
what
official release of that.
somebody came out and said that and I want to say I got to find it
Well, the
Rayford.
father of one of the girls that was killed, he was interviewed this morning.
yeah.
He was talking about how the autopsy showed that she had a lot of bruising, which indicated that she fought back,
Mhm.
but
Yeah,
she
he
was
said that
stabbed.
earlier in the week.
Yes.
I don't,
But
you know,
somebody else
I
said somebody
do
one
not,
I
you know, those autopsies are not public record yet.
no,
I
but
don't know how much faith I put in that.
I want to say, Rayford, I read that it was law enforcement that said, I got to find it now. So it wasn't yesterday, it was the day before that I
Right.
saw
Yeah,
it.
that's what I heard too. It
yeah,
was a
I,
stabbing.
That they
I,
were,
I heard it
yeah.
from the father. That's all the only person I've heard it from.
I saw
Yes.
it,
I
yeah.
always discount those
Right.
because they pick up
Um,
the same rumors that everybody else picks up.
Well,
And
I
they've got
would
a
think,
timeline. The 4 were out the night before, but not together. They were paired off 2 and 2.
right.
And we don't,
Right.
yeah. And they can account for that.
Yeah, they showed them
Yeah.
buying food from food trucks,
Yeah.
you know, to the girls.
And the other 2 were
the
at
whole
a
thing is
at a party.
bizarre.
Yeah, it's the whole,
It's
especially
too bizarre.
especially when the
Yes.
other 2 were completely unharmed.
Right. Oh, no, the whole thing is so bizarre.
It's very bizarre.
Were they targeted
Yeah.
for specific reasons?
Yeah.
Was there some jealousy going on?
Because
What happening here? I don't know.
and these 4 were very close knit. Like they were like they they
Now,
had
you see exactly
yeah.
what you're doing? You're doing exactly what I said the problem is.
Yeah.
There's speculation, innuendos, and rumors.
Right.
Well, their parents came out and said the 2 girls grew up together since 1st grade.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
So
not a
that's
rumor.
not a rumor. That's not
Okay.
speculation. They grew
But
up together.
as far as what happened
Oh,
prior to and during the
yeah.
crime, everything there is
we don't know.
speculation, and there are rumors, and parents are upset.
Yeah, the
Other
parents are very
parents are upset.
upset. Yes. And I don't know how big this town is there. I
I'm
want
gonna tell you
Well,
what.
Idaho
it
can't be
seems
more than
small.
15 people.
Yeah. It seems very I mean, I don't know,
If
but
it had been
it's got-
my
it's got
child,
University of South Dakota, University of Idaho there, so it is a fairly significant town.
oh, is it?
It's gonna
Okay.
be, yeah, it's gonna be mostly college there, I believe.
right.
Mhm.
Well, if it had been one of my children, I would be tearing up that town until
Oh,
somebody got
no
me
doubt
some
about that.
answers.
Yes.
I'd
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
tearing the town up.
Mhm.
Yep.
Mhm. I agree.
I'd be camped on the doorstep of
Yeah.
the law enforcement agency handling this. They'd get tired of seeing my face.
Yeah.
Well, they probably wouldn't be seeing mine. That's the problem.
And we know.
Yeah. I mean, it's,
A
I mean,
sniper on the
this-
building.
yeah.
These people that do these kinds of crime, they're
Mhm.
probably still walking the streets, running around there, doing all sorts of bizarre things, sneaky. They're not going to be out during the daylight hours.
No, no.
You're not going to find them out there with normal people.
You know what the first thing was when I heard this story originally that popped into my head? Do you know who popped into my head?
Yeah, the guy they zapped down in Florida,
Yeah, Ted Bundy. Yeah.
Bundy. I couldn't
Yeah.
remember his name.
Down at Florida State. Yeah, and University of Florida. Yeah. I mean, he for killing those co-eds. I mean, I know totally two different things, but 4 people in one house to me is just very bizarre.
When Bundy could hide
yeah.
under beds and
Yeah.
kill people while other people were sleeping overhead.
Creepy. Yeah.
Well, I won't be sleeping tonight. Thanks for that.
Well, then, Rayford, there's that other story about, there's conflicting thing. One of them being that Charlotte residents, those 3 people that died mysteriously down in Mexico. I mean, there's all sorts of things
Well,
going
all the stuff
Yeah.
dying out when you leave this country.
Yeah.
Let me explain something to you.
Yeah.
I don't trust anything that happens there.
No.
And
And
with
you'll
my
probably never
experience
know.
my experience a few months ago,
Yeah.
I don't trust anything after the fact of
Yeah.
anything that happened there.
Correct. Yeah. That's scary. Yeah. You could not pay me $1 billion to go to Mexico under any circumstance
I
at
cannot
any
think of a
time.
reason to go.
No. And people that take these cruises to go to these ports, the same thing. I mean, I've been to Mexico before. It's why I tell you, I'll never go back. It was awful. So, and that, if you're from Mexico, nothing against it, but the crime is unreal.
Well, my granddaughter's getting ready to go to Belize. I'm freaked out.
Different story.
Yeah.
Belize is nice.
It's too close to Mexico.
Belize is fancy.
It's too
Yeah.
close to Mexico.
It's fancy. Yeah. No.
It's not home. She needs to stay
Just
home.
have her stay on the island offshore.
Yeah.
We should
You
be
go to
going with a
Bonaire.
group from school, but still,
Mhm.
the thought of her.
So did Natalie Holloway back in
Stop.
2000.
That's right.
Oh,
That's true.
God.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she just broke off from the crowd.
You're not helping.
She's a good little Southern girl, sweet as she could be.
You tell your niece not to go, don't talk to strangers, and don't leave your group. You never leave your group.
Right.
Every horror movie that anybody's ever watched to teach people that. I mean, come on. You don't leave your group. You don't break up into groups and explore. You stay together.
Oh, believe me.
Now, folks, now we know where Kelly gets her training.
Yeah,
She'll
right.
be at grandma's next week. She's going to get to sit down and hear what grandma's got to say.
Yeah, yeah. But no, you don't. You do not. You never. When you go to another country, you do not go off with someone you don't know.
That's right.
Ever.
Ever.
Ever. Ever. Ever. Ever.
And go in
ever.
groups.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say partners,
Mhm,
groups.
mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to give her a whistle to rub around
Yeah.
her neck.
Yeah. Because you can't
That
take
would be
your own
good.
weapons. Yeah.
And a shiv if you could get her one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Check it in her bag. She can carry a knife in her bag.
Mm-hmm. Hide it, roll it up in
She's
something.
got a knife too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
that's
just
right.
put it in the
Borrow
check
one.
bag. It's just okay to carry them.
Yes,
look at
but the
divers,
problem
they carry-
is they
carry
search your
a bunch of
bags a
knives.
lot and they'll steal it. You have to hide
Yeah.
it in your bag. Yeah,
Lock your bag, by God.
yeah, but they'll you can a lot of like flights to Europe. You can't lock it; they'll break the lock.
Yeah, they'll break the lock.
You're not allowed to
I
lock
never
it.
locked mine, but
Yeah.
I don't have anything in mine worth stealing. If they
Yeah.
want what's
Well,
in
I-
my bag, they can have it.
Mine's locked and then I got a security seal on it
Mhm,
and I'll walk it through the TSA
mhm,
and the next stop. I see this baggage is when it's in Bonaire.
mhm.
Right.
That's the way it is.
Yeah, when you go to like when I fly to Ireland, they break your lock if you've locked it.
Well, I just tell them right up front, y'all want to look in here? Let's go through it right
Yeah.
now. Go through everything. I'm here
Yeah.
early. And here's a another
Mhm.
zip tie. Go ahead and cut that one. Let's open it up. I got another one to go right behind it.
But
Mhm.
you don't know what happens to it once it gets on that, to the luggage
I've had
handlers.
stuff taken out of my bag. Yeah,
Yes.
aggravating as
Well,
heck.
The
Yeah.
first thing is I
Mhm.
would be jumping up and down and screaming,
Mhm.
demanding customs over there, and filing a report right back home in
Mhm.
North Carolina. And then we just have to proceed from there because they got cameras. You know
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah, they
Yes.
do. Yeah.
There have been so
Mhm.
many people been caught with doing that kind of crap.
Mhm.
But if there's a will, there's a way. That's why you never buy new underwear and pack them in your suitcase.
Because people will
Just
steal
put
'em.
dirty ones in there.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Put your dirty stuff in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other thing is just to travel with a military type bag.
Hmm.
Right.
Everybody just thinks that's nothing gonna be but dirty clothing. You bring it home to mama to wash.
Oh, good idea.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right.
A Navy Sea bag's the greatest travel companion you can get.
I'm always trying to
I'll
travel
put
with
it-
my cute luggage, but good idea.
I'll put a caution
Rayford.
tag on mine.
Yeah.
Caution, dirty clothes.
Yeah.
Open at
Yeah.
your own risk.
Yeah.
Or hazardous waste.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
That's pretty cool.
I like that.
All right, you ladies are late because I made you late, so I'll
It's
let you go.
okay.
Yep.
That's all
Glad
right.
to hear from you. Rest up. And I mean it, Rayford. What you and I talked about.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
I'm sure
Okay.
I
you
should
get
say
it.
yes, dear, and yes,
Yeah.
dear.
Yep. 'Cause
Say it to Robbie all day long. Yes, dear. Yes, dear.
Uh-huh.
Don't put your hands down there to lift up on that cushion. You can't do that. You got to use your pillow.
that's true. Yeah.
Got to use your legs. You cannot put your hands down at all. Don't you put your hands down there.
And how
So
was
now-
that pillow working out for you?
It's working out fine.
Good.
Even when I don't pick it up to get up, I got chairs in here that sit up high enough. All it takes me is just a little stuff, but to keep me from to remind me not to put my hands down, which is just a natural occurrence, by the way,
Right.
is I just wrap my
That's gotta
arm.
be
If I don't
rough.
have the pillow handy enough, I just wrap my arms around myself,
Yeah.
give me a little bit of a hug, and then I stand up, move on.
Yeah, they say that pillow is a must to have.
I remember my
Mm.
dad had it. Yeah.
Yes.
Rayford, did you hear Tim say to sleep with a pillow under each arm? Because it helps
No.
when you're laying in the bed with the incision and stuff. Yeah. Tim said that on the air so he said that, and his nurse had checked on him and told him that they had forgotten to tell him that when he discharged him. Sleep with
Huh.
a pillow under each arm because apparently your arms, it keeps the incision from pulling because it will, the weight of your arms when you're sleeping actually can do that. And he said, because he
Huh.
couldn't figure out why he'd wake up hurting. And they said, oh, yeah, we forgot to tell you. So he said, yeah, sleep with a pillow under each arm.
Well,
Well,
I haven't
yeah.
had that problem.
And
So
yeah.
I'd be
When I-
sleeping in a recliner every night.
Yeah.
One of those you push a button and it helps get you up.
My mom has one of those. That thing's amazing. I want one.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't have that, but
I love
we
it.
did have one around here for my mom. But
Mhm,
we've got a couple of really nice recliners, and
mhm.
they're easy to get up and out of. They don't have the foot attached to the chair, which is what I like,
Mhm.
Right.
because I've got a footstool which I can adjust
Oh,
separately.
yes.
Okay.
That makes it so much nicer. It's a
Mhm.
contoured type thing,
Okay.
and that's what we've both got, and we both like them.
Nice.
Put where we want it,
Mhm.
not where the chair says you're going to have it.
Right.
All right. Well,
All
y'all
right.
have a great weekend.
You
and,
too. We'll be checking in with
I'll be
you.
checking in on you. I'm monitoring you just so you know. So
yeah.
People on Facebook are telling.
yeah,
They're
they are
telling on you.
So I'm gonna throw it out there to everybody that's listening. Don't ask Rayford to come see you because Rayford has been given. I'm laying the law down. He has to stay home and rest.
Yeah,
So if I
George.
find out you calling Rayford to come see you, I'm gonna come fight you.
Yeah,
And I'm
George
not telling Rayford,
squealed.
the people.
Yeah,
So,
George squealed on Facebook.
yeah. So George, he ain't coming back to Thailand for a while. So I'm letting you know that
Well,
right now.
I had to go by the sheriff's office yesterday, and Robbie says, "Do you think we ought to run by Tide Line?
Oh,
Let them come out
blame
here to see
Robbie.
you if they want to."
Yes. I mean,
It's
Absolutely.
fine. They came out and they said, "Hey," and
mhm.
I said, "Hey," back, and we said goodbye, and they
Yep.
said goodbye.
No more visiting for a little while. Plus, it's too much sickness out there
Wear
right
that
now. If you
mask
get
when you're
sick with
out.
that.
Well, I got this couple of places I do have to go,
Mhm.
but
Me-
it'll be all right.
We'll chat.
All right.
We'll chat.
Well,
We're just being the hen house.
One, I got
Girls
to
here.
get to the range to make sure my gun works.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
either that or I'm going to go in the backyard and fire off a few rounds and come running in the house. my gun.
Yeah. Keep it up, buddy. Keep it up. Keep
My
it up.
gosh.
Chief, if you're
Oh.
listening, I'm just kidding.
You try to
Look,
get your butt beat
When you
today.
get a little bit better
Mhm.
and stronger, we'll take you over to the indoor range and prop you up in a chair and let you fire off a couple rounds.
But that's
How's
gonna be
that?
a little while, several weeks.
Yeah.
But I'm going to use my 44 Magnums now.
Okay.
I just want people to know I've been there when I leave.
Oh my
Oh,
lord.
they'll definitely know.
All
we're-
right. Go
We're
get
gonna
some
run
rest.
out the whole
y'all.
place
Bye.
for you.
See ya.
Have a good one. See
Bye.
ya.
You too. Bye.
Oh, my
Man, it's
lord.
crazy.
He's just trying to get his butt beat today. So, all right, let's take a break. We're live in local real talk, and we may just bump both sets, the 20 and the 40 commercials, get them knocked out, just so you know. So be prepared. Maybe this might be a 5-minute break. I don't know how many commercials
Well,
are
we'll
queued
come
up.
back and just,
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
do weather real quick and
And then
go
go
into
back
the
into
next
the other one.
set.
Okay, we'll do it that way. Okay,
Yes.
that'll be easier. All right, we're live and local, Real Talk on Freedom 97.1, 1120 a.m. WSME. We'll be right back. All right, what we're going to do is some very quick weather, and then we're going to go back into the 7:40 break.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to go ahead and do the marine
Mm-hmm.
forecast for those diehard boaters
Mm-hmm.
out there.
Yep.
The marine forecast is brought to you by Tideline Marine. Tideline has some spectacular sales going through the end of this month, just in time for your Christmas shopping. To see all the specials going on this month, stop by Tideline Marine, 159 Oak Bridge Street on the banks of the New River. Today, north winds 10 to 15 knots, becoming northwest 5 to 10 knots this afternoon. Seas 2 to 3 feet. Dominant period 8 seconds. Tonight, northwest winds 5 to 10 knots, seas around 2 feet, dominant period 8 seconds. Saturday, north winds 5 to 10 knots, becoming west in the afternoon, seas 2 to 3 feet, dominant period 8 seconds. And Sunday, northwest winds 15 to 20 knots with gust up to 25 knots, seas 2 to 4 feet.
Today, sunny, high of 54. Tonight, cloudy, low of 31. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, high of 58. Tomorrow night, mostly cloudy, low of 40. And on Sunday, partly sunny, a high of 51.
Yeah,
Not
being that we
bad.
have just a few minutes,
Mhm.
we did want to send out our congratulations to Tyler Jones
Mhm.
on signing a golf scholarship in Jacksonville High School Wednesday afternoon at the cafeteria. Many were on hand with support and congratulations, and Tyler will be attending UNCC, home of the 49ers. So
But this is the first student from Jacksonville High
that's
School
right.
to ever get a
Yes.
golf scholarship. Yep.
Son of that proud Ed Jones.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
congratulations on your scholarship. And I know Tyler is
Yeah.
an avid golfer.
He is. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
congratulations. And it's great representation from Jacksonville High School. And one thing we've not talked about is the Jacksonville Cardinals soccer team.
Mhm.
And this information is coming from the Daily News. Uh, that dream of playing on a high school soccer's biggest stage in the state became a reality Wednesday night when the 8th-seeded Cardinals rallied for a 2-1 win at second-seeded First Flight in the NCHSAA 3A East Regional Final. The Cardinals, 1872, advanced to their sixth state championship in program history, all
Yes.
coming since
Mhm.
2005 and the first since 2013. Jacksonville looks to win its third title and its first since it defeated Hickory 2-1 in the 2012 state final.
Go
And the Cardinals
Cards.
play Hickory on Saturday in the championship game. Hickory, with a record of 21-3, defeated top-seeded Asheboro 2-1 on Monday.
Oh,
So
wow.
let's give out all our shouts to the Jacksonville
Mhm.
Cardinal soccer team. Wish you the best and bring home a trophy.
Well, there's always a good crowd that goes to the when Jacksonville's in like the state game, state
Right.
championship. There's always a big crowd from
Right.
Jacksonville that go to cheer them
And
on.
we'll talk
Yeah,
about the big football
yeah,
game that's on tonight a little bit
hmm
later.
yeah. So good job, soccer team.
Yes. Great going,
Awesome, awesome.
Jacksonville.
Okay, let's go ahead and take our 40 break, and we're waiting on a guest to come in. It's going to be a very interesting guest. She's a
Hmm.
friend of mine, and I have been waiting to have this conversation for a couple of years now. So finally we can talk about it. So, and I hope it's going to open
Stay
the door to
tuned.
other things. Yeah. So we're live and local, real talk on Freedom 97.1, 1120 a.m. WSME. We'll be right back. And we are back.
We sure are. That was quick.
That was very
I
quick.
guess we just
Yeah.
got so busy
Yeah.
doing our stuff over here. Hey,
Mhm.
just want to put it out there that the Jacksonville Christmas parade is tomorrow,
Mhm.
and it's going to run about 9:45 till noonish. And they will probably be closing the streets down about 9 o'clock or
Usually
so.
start around 9. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I would suggest you getting out there early and
Mhm.
securing your spot. It's going to be a good parade, lots of floats, bands, music, and more. Of course,
Mhm.
our military will be out there also. Good suggestion here, being it's going to be nippy in the morning. If you can pull up to one of those roads that intersects with Western, that's going to be closed, pull right up there and sit in the comfort of your car,
Mhm.
in the warmth of your car, and you can tune in to 97.1, 1120 a.m.
Well, sometimes
also.
they don't let you do that, so
Right.
they will block it. So
They
you,
did it for the veterans, I
yeah, but
noticed,
this
but
they
Christmas
don't.
parade's going to be a
Yeah,
little bigger. But anyway, you can pull right up in your car. Well, shopping mall. You can sit right there at the
at
shopping
the
mall.
mall. Yeah.
Yes, right up there near the
Mhm.
front.
Mhm.
And you can listen to WSME on 97.1 FM, 1120 AM, or you can go online at www.WSME971.com. And we will be broadcasting the parade
Mhm.
live from right out there at Western Boulevard. You can join Chris Rayner, Chris Hollywood Man, and me. I'll be out there also. Kelly's going to be in the parade.
Yeah, I'm driving Robin.
So
Mhm.
we'll be out there for the parade. So be sure to come on out and support everyone that's out there in the parade. And just wanted to say the Jacksonville Christmas Parade is brought to you exclusively on Freedom 97.1 by the David Hall State Farm Insurance Agency, which is locally owned and located right here in Alzo County, featuring auto and home insurance. David is also a a 1984 graduate of Jacksonville High School, and he was the proud sponsor of the Veterans Day Parade and also joins WSME as the new sponsor for the Cardinal football tonight. So call 910-455-0448 and talk to Dave and see what he can do for you. Which brings
Oh,
to mind tonight is round 3
you're on 3.
of
Mhm.
the state 3A playoffs.
Mhm.
Jacksonville is playing Triton at
Mhm.
Jacksonville tonight.
Mhm.
You can listen to the game on WSME 97.1 FM and online at WSME 971.com. So tune in. The pregame show starts at 6:30. The game starts at 7 o'clock. And after the show, we will have a post-game show. So you want to listen to that, and that's brought to you by Golden Corral. So be sure to tune in tonight to listen to Jacksonville football and root them on for a win tonight. We really need this win. So Jacksonville's really doing outstanding right now. So, and if you have any questions or any comments or any concerns you want to call in this morning, our number is 910-333-0139. We'll be glad to take any calls that you have and answer any questions that you have. And just for a heads up, I don't know how many of you deal with the dreaded open season every year with your health care and Medicare. Well, we've got a gentleman coming on Tuesday of next week, Mr. Peter Wright. He's a licensed Medicare and healthcare agent, and you'll definitely want to tune in if you have any questions. He can explain to you about Medicare, the different plans they have, if you want to, how to pick an insurance company to handle your Medicare. A lot of interesting information. I met him yesterday. He was in Walmart. He has a kiosk set up there, and he is there 10 to 1, 2 to 6, Monday through Saturday, October 15th through December 7th, except on Thanksgiving Day. But very interesting conversation. I learned a whole lot from him. You know, if you've ever get to the Social Security age, Medicare kicks in and they will hound you, and you have all these different healthcare companies calling you, wanting you to go with them. So it can be frustrating. It can be just taxing on you, and especially if you don't know what you're doing. So just tune in Tuesday morning at 7:30, and Mr. Wright will be with us, and he's going to do a lot of explaining on that. If you have any questions or concerns, go ahead and write them down now so you'll have them ready come Tuesday.
Okay, let's take a break. We've got our guest here, so we'll be ready to talk with her as soon as we come back. You did good, Lee. I had to guide her in.
Oh,
She was a
that's
little
good.
lost. Yeah.
That's good.
So, all right, we're live in Local Real Talk. We will be right back. And we are back. And we have a guest in the studio today. This is my good friend, Teresa DeSorbo. She is from Jacksonville, grew up here, graduate of White Oak. She was even a majorette at White Oak. I don't even know if they even have those now.
They don't.
Okay. But Terry, I want to welcome you. Terry has a very interesting and sad story, and this is a story I've been wanting to talk about for a long time, but we were waiting until it had been settled in court. Um, Her son died of a drug overdose in February of 2020, and the case finally concluded on Wednesday with Onslow County's first conviction under the death by distribution law. I don't know if it's law is the right word, but the drug dealer who provided the drugs for Paul was convicted of death by distribution. And this is the first time in Onslow County. And I am so thankful that he was charged and convicted. Another associate of his, it was like the middleman, I think,
Yeah.
was convicted of involuntary manslaughter for that. But I definitely think that I'm hoping that this will open the door, because we've got to do something to tackle the opioid issue. And I have long said, if you can go target the dealers and make it harder for there to be a product, you can have some success as well, because, there's otherwise we're never going to get a handle on this. So I'm hoping this is going to be the first of many, many convictions of this. But good morning, Terry.
Good
Yeah,
morning.
good morning,
Yeah.
Terry.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about, go ahead and start, your story.
Well, Paul, his name was Paul Elwin de Sorbo.
Mhm.
When he died, he was 28 years old.
Mhm.
He went all the way through high school. He was not, I didn't have any problems, with Paul up until till he got out of high school. I think what happened and what he told me happened was that he was at a party one night and his friends and Paul was a very, hey, how you doing kind of guy.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was just happy all the time. And one of his friends had said, here, try this, let's do this. And Paul, being the Paul he is, he just said, let's do it, and he became addicted and he spiraled out of control.
Mhm.
And he's not the only one. This is a big,
Yeah.
huge, and that started our nightmare,
Mhm.
basically. I believe what happened was when Paul's father passed away when his father passed away in 2015, Paul spiraled out of control.
Yeah.
I had no idea that Paul was even using drugs at that point.
Mhm.
When his dad passed away, it all came to light. And then we spent from 2016 to 2019 going back and forth to rehabs. And there'd be periods of times where he was clean and everything was great. And then there wasn't. And it was a nightmare. And there's lots of parents going through the same nightmare, and a lot of addicts.
Yeah.
I hate to stigmatize them like that,
Right.
because they have mental health problems.
Mhm.
Paul's depression took over for him.
Mhm.
Um,
And I want to interrupt you so people understand, your husband passed away from cancer,
correct.
and that, did have a very profound impact on Paul.
Yes.
Because you guys were a very close-knit family.
Right.
So, I mean, and people, seem to understand. In my opinion, I have always said your story is one of those that highlights addiction can hit any family.
Right.
Paul didn't grow up in a home full of addiction. I mean, he
No.
grew up very well. And it just, as an adult, once he got out of high school was when his troubles began.
Right.
Like
And
that. So,
And he told me it was as simple as going to a party one night
mhm.
and somebody said, they were doing it. And he was like, okay, I'll do it too, no problem. And I believe that's what's going on with a lot of these kids nowadays. They go to parties like we used to go back in the
Yeah,
80s. And
yeah.
I mean, we can say we didn't, but we
did.
did.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the keg parties or
Mhm, yeah,
whatever. And they're thinking that these hard drugs are like
Yeah.
what we
What we
had.
did, and it's
And
not.
and
Yeah.
it's not. It's completely different. And the fentanyl that is coming into this county has got to be addressed,
Yes.
because what happened with Paul is that he was clean for an amount of time.
Yeah.
I spent the last Christmas with him.
Mhm.
He'd been about probably, I don't even know. All I know is my son was clean.
He
He
was,
looked
yeah.
good. He was, back to being his silly self,
Mhm.
because he was always happy when he
Mhm.
was clean. And then I received a devastating phone call on February 12th,
Mhm.
2020, and my son was in Onslow Memorial Hospital, brain dead.
Mhm.
Not that Onslow Memorial Hospital called me, but his friend called me.
Mhm.
And he is going to be forever missed. And
Yeah.
this is a big problem in Onslow County.
Mhm.
Fentanyl, what happened was we later found out that the one person was texting him, calling him, whatever. They made a decision to go and buy drugs.
Mhm.
I don't know what prompted him to
Yeah, 'cause he'd
slip.
been clean, yeah.
But he slipped
Mhm.
like a lot of times addicts do, or
Mhm.
alcoholics do, or
Mhm.
any kind of mental health,
Mhm.
eating,
Yeah, yeah.
he slipped. And when these two young men went to this house, which the OnStar proves went to their house, this man sold them methamphetamine laced with fentanyl.
Mhm.
And he killed my son.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Um,
And there's a lot of that happening here in our county, and it needs to be addressed because this is only going to get worse. It's gotten worse since 2020.
mhm. Let's take a quick break and do our 60-second Fox News break, and then I'm going to give a bit of backstory as well, and we're going to talk about exactly what happened and what has happened since Paul's death in terms of this journey of this conviction and what you think needs to be done in the future. But we're live in Local Real Talk. It's our 60-second Fox News break, so hold on for 60 seconds, and we will be right back. And we are back, and we have in the studio guest Terry DeSorbo, who is a mom. Her 28-year-old son, Paul, died of an overdose in February of 2020. And this past Wednesday, the drug dealer that sold him um, the drugs that killed him was convicted of death by distribution, and it was the first time here in Onslow County that that's been a successful prosecution and conviction. So, and I will say it again, and I'm going to keep saying it. I hope this is the first of many, many of these convictions, because if something's got to be done, and I have said it before, and I'm going to say it again, y'all are going to get tired of hearing me say it. But I think if you can attack these drug dealers and get some of them off the streets, it may not solve the problem completely, but it doggone well will put a dent on it.
Absolutely. Last weekend we had 4 overdoses.
No, we had
And
4 deaths.
I'm sorry, 8 overdoses, and out of the 8, 4 died.
Well, we had 8 on the weekend and 2 during the week. So we had
Right.
10 in a 7-day span, 8 over the weekend, 4 deaths. 3 were in one particular home, and their
Wow.
death was fentanyl and crack. Fentanyl is, cannot stress enough how dangerous this drug is. And Terry, I want to put out there too that the guy, because people live among you and you don't realize. I want to say that this dealer, I don't know that the neighbors knew he was a dealer, don't know, but he lived in Northwoods.
Mhm.
Yeah. Paul didn't buy these drugs on the street of some back alley somewhere.
No.
These drugs were bought in a Northwoods neighborhood.
Yeah.
That's where the drug dealer lives.
And they're all over.
Yeah.
They are all over.
Absolutely.
There were several times that when we would be coming back from rehab after he was do a stint. He said, "Mama," and he would be truthful, and he would say, "A lot of times you just have to walk out to the end of the driveway."
Mhm.
Or, all you got to do is walk down the street, and there's drug dealers everywhere here,
Yeah.
and they're getting fentanyl, and they're giving it to our children.
Mhm.
And there's even older people that are dying from this
Yes,
too, because they're even putting fentanyl in marijuana now.
Yes.
So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you can argue with marijuana or not, but marijuana you can't even trust to
Correct.
get.
Yeah. Look at the some of the deaths last weekend where the crack
Mhm.
and fentanyl's being put in everything, and
Right.
it is a incredibly dangerous drug. It does not take very much to kill
No.
someone, but you can touch it and
Mhm.
overdose from, which is why I've had somebody laugh at me the other day for it. They don't understand. A lot of times law enforcement, if they don't wear gloves and they're handling it, they've overdosed. It's happened. All you have to do, it gets on your skin,
Yes.
you can be done. I mean,
Right.
and when I go to pump gas now, I either wear a glove
Mhm.
or I use a napkin.
Right.
And I had some guy laugh at me at the pump the other day. Dude, laugh all you want. I don't know who has touched this.
Right.
There's a lot of mean people out there.
Uh-huh.
But people that handle fentanyl, a lot of time it gets on their clothes, it gets on whatever, and it can transfer off. It does.
Yeah.
So, it's very, it's a very powerful drug.
And it's very, and another thing, it is very dangerous for our police department, our
Yes.
sheriff's
Absolutely.
department.
Yes.
Onslow County worked very hard as far as the detective. She worked very hard on this case, and they are dealing with this on a daily, minute by minute basis, and it's very dangerous for our law enforcement.
It is very, yes. And people don't realize, what they, what they go through and the danger they put when they're even when they're investigating these crimes, because it has, go in, or when they handle a deal or they
Right.
arrest somebody that's got it on them. You're right. It's very dangerous.
It's very
for them.
dangerous
Yeah.
for them.
We have a caller. Good morning, caller. Who's this?
Good morning. This is Jasmine Moreno. I'm the president of the Southwest High School FFA.
Yes. Hi.
I was calling to let y'all know and wondering, we are doing a barbecue cookout
Okay.
at the Piggly Wiggly in Jacksonville on
Okay.
Ridgelands Highway
All right.
on Saturday, November 19th at 11 a.m.
Tomorrow. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. We'll be selling barbecue plates for $10 a piece. And there will also be some baked goods and stuff to raise money for all of our official gear, because this is a new chapter that we're trying to start.
Okay.
So I wanted to let everybody know.
Lee is writing it down.
No, that was the FHAA,
FFA, Future Farmers of America.
FFA.
Future Farmers of. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lee's writing it down. She's going to
Southwest,
put it on our
right?
page. Yeah, for Southwest. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
And the location again?
It'll be at the Piggly Wiggly in
Piggly Wiggly.
Jacksonville.
Okay.
Yep. Right there.
Right
by
there,
yacht.
258.
Yeah, right by
Okay,
yacht.
Gotcha.
Yep.
All right.
Yep, right off the Ridgelands Highway by Yacht Road, across from the Hardy.
I'll be
Right.
sure to put that on the
She's
Facebook
gonna put it on her
page,
page.
and we'll
She's writing
share
it
it.
now.
Okay.
Yep.
And I may have to.
All righty, I
stop
appreciate it.
by. All right.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, that was
Okay.
sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, these high schools need all the money they can get.
Yes.
So, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So Paul had rehabbed, done a few stints in rehab, and he had been clean. You and I have talked about, he was clean. This was very shocking. And I think that once Paul passed away, you became very hands-on with law enforcement. You were working very
Mhm.
extensively with the Onslow County Sheriff's Office. And tell me a little bit about how that went. Like, how I know you and I've talked before about how, we want it to be done, but these things do take time.
They do. They
Yeah.
do. And it was very hard. The detective that worked on this, Detective Simmons,
Mhm.
she's a wonderful detective with the Onslow County Sheriff's Department. She just was very passionate
Mhm.
about this case. And she didn't get this case until Paul passed away on February the 12th. On February the 14th, he donated his organs.
He
and
did.
He saved 6 people's lives.
Yep.
And he was the first one that donated organs in 5 years at Onslow.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yes.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's what I've been told.
Uh-huh.
So she got this case well after the time frame that they normally do. This is a brand new law. It just came into effect in December of 2019. Paul passed in February of 2020.
Yeah.
So it was completely brand new. They still were not even sure how the law worked, everything, but she took it upon herself. And she even said that she thinks she had Paul on her shoulder guiding her, because there was places she went and people she talked to that she never would have thought to talk to.
Yeah.
But she did get it solved. She did get, OnStar records, phone records. And that's another thing. If you find yourself in this position and you go to the hospital and your loved one is laying there, make sure you get their phone. Hang on to their phone.
Yes.
Call the police immediately. Immediately.
And what Terry's talking about is parents, loved ones, family members. If you have a family member that's overdosed and they're in the hospital and they're unconscious, or like, Paul was on life support and whatever, get their phone immediately. Don't let anybody have that phone.
Nope.
And then you can call law enforcement from the hospital, and have them come, and they can start an investigation. That is crucial in cases like this.
Yes. And it is crucial that you do that immediately. And I believe from what I've been told that now the hospital is calling the police if someone comes in and they are brain dead from an overdose.
I would think they should.
But they didn't in Terry's case.
They did not. And you
Yeah.
have to understand that this was a brand new law. They still did.
Right.
They should have.
Yeah,
They should have known.
Yeah.
Right.
But they didn't. And the sheriff's office, were still, them two were kind of arguing between the two. But the bottom line is that there is change, I believe.
Yeah.
And I believe that they do have to call now, because, and people, that may be listening or whatever may be saying, well, this was an overdose. Well, if you've ever had a loved one in addiction, the nightmare that it is.
Yeah.
And my whole point with this law, death by distribution, is you could walk into, a bar tomorrow or a restaurant and order a glass of wine. And if somebody puts something in that wine and you die, don't you think that the person that did that should?
I agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He did not go there asking for fentanyl.
No.
He had a mental health problem and I'm not saying that what he did was right. By no means. We fought this thing tooth and nail. Addiction is very hard to beat. Very few people beat it.
Yeah. And he was basically what a lot of people do. A lot of people that are addicted to a substance have a dual diagnosis of anxiety or depression.
Right.
He was self-medicating.
Right.
Basically.
Well, and and this all started, I believe, in 2013. My dad died of cancer in 2013. Okay. That started it. Then it wasn't 2 months later, and one of my best friends, somebody he grew up with, passed away of cancer. This is all in a short period of time. And then in 2015, my husband passed away of cancer.
Yeah.
And then 6 months later, the family dog died.
But he had a lot, and grief is a very powerful thing. And and I think this poor kid had so much loss, he just, he could not handle it.
Right.
And this dealer who has, a lot of these dealers, let me make it very clear, they know what's in these products.
Right.
They know what they're putting in there, and it's about money.
Yeah.
Please don't think they care, because they don't.
They don't. And my only hope for this drug dealer is that he is being punished under this law. I hope that he sits there long enough to realize that he ruined and took something very special away from me. However, my main goal and my prayer for him is that when he does get out, that he does say, I'm not ever doing this again. I'm not ever going to take a drug again. His family will have hope.
Yeah.
He could turn it around. He could help somebody else. Let it trickle down.
Yeah, I agree. You wrote a statement, and you were allowed to address this
Yes.
dealer. But let me back up. How much time did he get?
He got 50 to 72 months.
Okay.
He is going, and once he's released from prison, he will get 3 years supervised probation. He will have a ankle bracelet on the first 6 months of it. He has to pay restitution. But basically, he should be done with all this in about 8 years.
Yeah.
5 years.
And for you, it will be lifelong.
Right.
Yes, he will be leaving there, going to prison, and I will be going to the graveyard, like I told him. I'll be going to the graveyard. My son is very, very, very missed.
Yeah.
Very missed.
I will say I was at the visitation and funeral, and I will say I remember when I walked into John's funeral home that night, how many people were in that room. This kid was very loved.
Yes, he was very loved.
He was very
He had
loved.
teachers from middle school, from elementary school, from high school that showed up at his funeral.
Yeah.
They loved him.
He was, I mean, this, and like I've said before, your story is this could happen to anybody.
Yeah.
And people, seem to, forget that it can strike any income bracket, any family unit. It does, and sadly, it does not discriminate.
No.
You wrote a very, what I call would be an important statement. I'd like you to read what you said to you, because you addressed this drug dealer in court.
Yes.
Did he look at you when you?
He tried not. I turned around and looked at him
I
at
knew
the
you did,
appropriate times.
Yeah.
He really made no. I didn't see. He was scared. I'm sure. He's 35 years old. I'm sure he was scared. But I hope that he has time to resonate what I said to him. So that, like I said, my prayer for him is for his family to have hope again.
Yeah.
So
yeah, go ahead and you can go
It's
ahead and
very
read that.
generous of
Yeah.
you too.
Yeah.
My name, what I wrote was, my name is Teresa DeSorbo. My son's name is Paul Elwin DeSorbo. He was born on September 22nd, 1991 at 6:29 p.m. It was one of the happiest days of mine and my husband's life. However, Paul was born severely anemic and had pneumonia, and we ended up in NICU for 2 weeks on a ventilator. From the day he was born, he was the light of our lives. He could make you laugh and smile at the silliest things. Growing up, he was very hyper and loved to aggravate his sister. By the time he was a teenager, him and his sister were extremely close.
Yep.
Paul had lots of friends. He worked in the family wallpaper and blind business till he was 16 when he got a job at the mall. From there, he worked and saved money to buy his first car through various jobs, the car wash, food line, the exchange, etc. He loved going to the beach, hiking, and just being with family. Paul started to use drugs, as I found out later, after his poppy passed away of cancer. From what he had told me, one of his peers gave it to him. He became addicted and spiraled out of control when his father passed away in December 2015. I did not know the depth of his depression, as I had been so caught up in caring for his father. We spent from 2016 to 2019 going back and forth to rehabs and dealing with his mental health. The last Christmas I spent with Paul, he was clean, had gained weight, and was back to being his silly self. He was looking forward to walking his sister down the aisle in August. On February 12, 2020, I received a devastating phone call. Paul was at Onslow Memorial Hospital, brain dead on a ventilator. I lost my baby, my only son, my Paul man. I later found out he had bought drugs from Mr. Belfort, and you sold him meth laced with fentanyl. You played doctor to my son's mental illness, and now I will never be able to see my son's smiling face or hold him in my arms again. My wish for you is that you stay in jail long enough to realize that you not only killed my son, but you destroyed my family and any hope I had of ever seeing what the future would have been for my son. In the end, my son did save 6 people's lives as he donated his organs. Your family will be able to hold you and see you and talk to you again. I hope that you use the gift of your family to help other people with addiction and never take nor sell drugs to anyone. In conclusion, if we do not start standing up to this epidemic we have in Onslow County, and it is an epidemic,
It is.
and holding these drug dealers accountable, we're going to lose a whole generation. Drug addiction starts with the supplier. I know this has devastated me and my family. Mr. Belfour, you will leave here today and go to prison where your family will still be able to hear your voice and laughter. I will be leaving there today and going to the graveyard. When you get out of prison, your family will have hope and be able to hold you. I will still be grieving. My son will be forever 28. God be with you.
That is,
Wow.
it's amazing.
Let's go ahead and go to
You
commercial.
want to take a commercial break?
Yes.
Okay. We're live in local real talk on Freedom 97.1, 1120 a.m. WSME. We'll be right back. All right, and we are back, and we have my friend Terry DeSorbo in here. But on the phone, we have a caller. Howard, is this you? No. Howard, is this you?
It sure is.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, well, I had to pull over after that nice lady. Did you say her name is Teresa? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's Teresa, but
yeah.
she goes by Terry. Yep.
After Terry read that statement, I had to pull over and I actually cried.
Oh.
And the thing about it is, I've been blessed because drugs have not touched my life.
Mm-hmm.
Being a Vietnam veteran, it's amazing. But the closest I came was getting that oxy whatever when they took out my eye in surgery at Duke, and it made me violently ill. And I feel it's like the Lord saying, "Don't touch this stuff."
Yeah.
But I wish they would have given that guy life. I don't think he got enough time. That's just my opinion, and I don't want to say I'm vindictive, but God bless you, Terry, and I hope God comforts you and holds you in His arms.
Thanks, Howard.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Howard.
Okay.
All right, have a good day.
All right. You too. Bye.
Bye. We love Howard. Howard's one of our
Very
loyal
compassionate,
listeners. Yes, he's very
yes.
compassionate, and I agree. I mean, look, I'd be a liar if I didn't say I don't think this guy got enough time. Because you and I've talked about this.
Right.
I've made no secret of the fact. I'm glad he was convicted. Part of me thinks, regardless of plea deal or not, there needs to be something done with our general statute that makes the mandatory minimum, no matter if it goes to trial or if there's a plea deal. I agree, and I will say, if we're going to get a handle on this problem, we have got to address the dealers.
Correct.
And
I
these
agree.
slaps on the wrist
Yeah.
are not going to do it.
Well, I was just looking up the general statute on it's under GSA 14-18.4, death by distribution of certain controlled substances. And the sentence, depending on that person's previous history with law, can range anywhere from 20 to 40 years,
Yeah.
depending on the circumstances of their previous arrest record and
Right.
if they dealt before. And you're telling me that he got way less than that. And I'm just like, what's the purpose in having this law if we don't use it and hit them hard?
I agree.
Well, and I think that they will the longer this is, like I said, it's a new law and they're trying to understand, how to deal with it. But my thing with this dealer was that he pled guilty to death by distribution.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
I wanted people to know that you cannot sell drugs. And if you do sell drugs and somebody dies,
You're gonna be held accountable.
You're going to be held accountable.
Yeah.
As should be.
Yeah. And the guy that was like the middleman got the involuntary manslaughter.
Yes.
But he got only the time he's been in jail. He's
Mhm.
out now, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the way I look at it,
he got probation.
you're driving drunk.
Was in there 3 years and almost 3 years. And then now he's on supervised probation.
Okay.
Well, it's just like if you're driving drunk
Mm-hmm.
and you have you cause an accident
Yeah.
and kill somebody in the other vehicle. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
why
it's so
should that
different.
be?
Yeah.
Why should
It shouldn't be any different.
That's
It's
right.
just like, at the hospital, if somebody comes in with a gunshot wound, they call the police. If
Mhm.
somebody comes in with an undetermined mystery of what happened, which in my case, I felt like was Paul, 28-year-old man, looked very healthy. He
Yeah.
had gained
Yeah.
weight. He looked
looks
good.
Yeah.
They didn't know for sure
Mm-hmm.
why they didn't.
Mhm.
I'm not real sure. I think now, though, that more this case is evolving and more the law is evolving, there are changes happening all around us. So drug dealers, beware.
They need to beware. And I think, this was the first death by distribution conviction here in Onslow County. So kudos to the district attorney's office and the Onslow County Sheriff's Office for their diligence in not letting this go.
Right.
And I definitely want to shout out, like you said, to Detective Simmons.
Oh my gosh,
Right.
she is amazing, amazing. She told me that she's had Paul's picture on her desk from day one, and it
Mhm.
will remain there.
Yeah.
She's a wonderful, wonderful investigator. She
And
found
Sheriff's
stuff
Office
out.
has a gem in her.
Yes.
So I don't know if they can give raises, but personally, I think she needs one. So just throwing it out there. But I think I'm hoping this is going to be the tip of the iceberg
Right.
and putting a dent into this terrible problem that we have. And, what advice can you give to families that, let's say they get that phone call, you need to come to the emergency room, your loved one, has had an overdose. What are some tips in heaven forbid their loved one doesn't make it? What's some tips you have for them?
Well, the first thing the first thing you need to do is tell them to call the police.
Yes.
Call the police.
Yeah.
Call the sheriff's office. I didn't know any of this. Since this whole addiction thing began, I didn't know anything. It's just been a nightmare. But
Yeah.
the first thing that I would do is call the police.
Mhm.
And the second thing I would do is get his phone.
Get the phone.
Get the
Yes.
phone.
Yeah.
I had that phone in my hand,
Mhm.
and just, you're so distraught.
Mhm.
Make sure that the hospital does, a brain scan.
Yes.
If it's especially with an overdose, overdoses can be tricky. They can, you can overdose and it looks like they're brain dead, but they may not be. So
Mhm.
make sure that the brain scan is done. Make sure that you get the phone for the sheriff's office. Make sure you call the police, and those things are, you need to do them right away. That way you have, evidence and things that they can go off of.
I agree. And, you had a family member who's a nurse who told you to do the brain scan because,
Right.
Onslow wasn't going to do that.
Right.
And the family member said, no, get the brain scan. And
Right.
because like you said, they can appear brain dead and not be, or vice
Right.
versa. Yeah.
Right.
So the brain scan was crucial.
Crucial.
Yeah.
Crucial.
Yeah.
But that had to be done. And, and quite frankly, I don't remember a whole lot
Mhm.
from that night. It was just devastating to see your child
Mhm.
laying there like that.
Well, one thing I think too, for protocol, I remember when EMS came to the house, law enforcement was there.
Right.
I think there and I'm not trying to tell law enforcement how to do their job by any means, but I think there needs to be like a change in policy when it's known that there's an overdose. I think a case needs to be opened right away.
Right. And see, and that's where this law is evolving, because they didn't really know. Everybody is scrambling to try to figure out what is entailed in this
Mhm.
law, and it's brand new.
Mhm.
Or it was at the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
And I do believe that there's changes happening even with the sheriff's department and the
Yeah.
police department, where, things like that will happen.
Yeah.
Because to me, they didn't know
Yeah.
that, they didn't know for sure that this was a drug overdose. It
Right.
wasn't laying out in front of them.
Yeah.
Right.
They didn't know. They knew they had an unresponsive 28-year-old
Yeah.
male
Male. Yeah.
and looked very healthy. So
Mhm.
to me, the least they should have done is contacted the hospital to find out what
Correct.
happened.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I think that and I've expressed that to them, and I think that those are kind of things that are
A
changing.
policy put in place
They're
that now.
evolving.
Yeah, I agree. And same goes for EMS needs to put that policy, follow up. Because families, when they're faced with this, you can't think clearly.
No.
You cannot.
Mm-mm.
And so, any help they can get because if there is an overdose and it ends up being a fatal one, the individual got the drugs from somewhere.
Right.
So
that means they're out there on the street for
Correct.
other people to get.
Exactly. So the quicker that an investigation can get started and a dealer located,
Mhm.
the more, A, punishment for that dealer, but B, the more potential lives that are saved.
That
as
are
well.
saved
Yeah.
because you can get them off the street quicker.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing. I mean, this is purely an epidemic here in Onslow County. It's an epidemic all over the place,
Right,
but we're
yes.
dealing with
We're dealing with
Onslow.
Onslow. Yes.
Onslow. And Onslow is, I grew up here. It was a very small town at
Mhm.
one time. It still is to me.
Mhm.
And there's just so many moms and dads that are grieving out there, cousins, brothers, sisters. You think about it.
Mhm.
What did we say? 10 or how many people died? Four?
Four
For
one
Over the,
weekend.
you
Right.
think about how many people that have affected here in
That's
right. Yeah.
Onslow County.
Yeah.
How many moms, how many dads, how many brothers,
Mm-hmm.
cousins, sisters,
Mhm.
on and on, friends
Mhm.
that will never see that person on this earth again.
Yeah.
Because of something so stupid.
Yeah.
No.
I agree. He did not address the court. If I
No.
remember, you and I talked about that.
No.
Did the other guy address the court?
I was in Denver. My sister and brother went to that sentencing because it was so, but I believe he was very distraught.
Okay.
From what I understand,
Mhm.
is the Paul's buddy, not buddy, because I never knew him, never
Uh-huh.
met him, but my brother seems to think that they were friends, and
Uh-huh.
it's indicative that they
Yeah.
were.
Yeah.
And I believe that he was very,
He
because
got-
he was the one that got him to go to the dealer's house.
Right. Right.
So yes, he was very,
Hmm.
very upset, distraught.
Yeah.
The dealer, not so much.
Yeah.
And my whole thing is I still, I would like to know where he got him from.
Because he never told.
Nope.
No, he has. Let me be clear. He has not told where they
Mm-mm.
came from.
Nope.
Yeah.
And I'd like to know where he got him from.
Mhm.
Let's keep it going.
Yeah. I agree. I
But
agree.
unfortunately, things don't always work out like you want them. But to me, that would be going after the
big
big
head
guy.
honcho or the bigger guy.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. And like I said before, people need to understand this dealer lived in Northwoods. He wasn't living in a tree house somewhere,
Yeah.
in the middle of the swamp.
Could be your next door
It
neighbor.
could be your next door neighbor.
Could be
Exactly.
the preacher's son or
Yeah.
daughter.
Yeah.
Right.
You just don't know.
It's very scary, and it's and it's scary to think of if you've got meth and stuff. I mean, was in a neighborhood, depending on where the meth is cooked, that's a whole separate danger.
Well, it
Not to
certainly
mention you
is,
got
yeah.
fentanyl laying around. That's that if it's in powder form or whatever, or pills crushed and it gets out. Oh my word! I just shudder to think.
Fentanyl is being put in everything.
It is.
Again,
Mhm.
keep in mind that if you're listening and you just say, "Oh, well, I just smoke marijuana," well, guess what? They're putting it in fentanyl too.
That's right.
I mean, they're putting it in
Right.
marijuana too.
Yeah, we've had one or two overdoses here in Onslow County that were successfully reversed with Narcan, but they with marijuana that had fentanyl in them.
Hoo-wee.
Yeah, very scary. Terry, I know this has not been an easy journey for you at all.
No.
And it never will be.
No.
I've actually been working with Terry and her sister and another lady, and we're writing a book.
Yeah.
We're actually writing a book. It's been a long time we've been working on it, probably a long time before we get it done, because it's hard for these moms to write about this. But I'm determined we're going to get that book finished.
Yes.
And we're going to get it published.
And
Yeah.
let me tell you too, it's just like when I started out with this addiction, I didn't know anything, nothing. I was begging people for help. I
Mhm.
was, it's just been a nightmare. And then we finally met Kelly, which started up a Narnon group,
Mhm.
and we were able to go to that. And all four of us ladies have bonded
Mhm.
over this, and it
Yeah.
was an outlet to get out to. And so what I'm trying to say is, if you're out there, you're a parent of a child that has an addiction, find a group
Mhm.
that you can go to have an outlet. Because in the beginning, I thought I was the only one. I thought, oh my God, I can't believe he's doing this. He's the
Mhm.
only one. He's not the only
No.
one.
Right.
And and I just could not find anybody to help. I couldn't find. It took lots of researching to find rehabs.
Mhm.
It was just you didn't know what to do. Your child, we're watching your child fall, and you couldn't do anything to save them.
It's Lois. Hey, Lois.
Hey, how are y'all? Y'all are doing great.
Yeah. Thank you. Lois is part of our group.
Yes.
I had to call Terry. I love you,
I love
and
you
I,
too.
I think what you're doing is awesome. To get the word out there for all of us that are having to deal with this on a daily basis, because it is hard,
Yeah.
and we've had a hard time with it. And I don't. One of the things I think people, like Terry said, you don't know where to look. You don't know who to call to help you because you've never dealt with it, and you don't know the resources to use, and I don't think people understand how hard it is for a parent to get a child into rehab. They always say, well, why don't they go to rehab, or why don't they quit? Or it's like Terry says, you research and you research and you research, and the places that you call, the cost is of some of the places that charge to get your child into rehab. It's just it's overwhelming.
It is.
It is.
100%.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah, and we've got a good group. We have met. We've cried, laughed, punched pillows,
Shouted.
Yeah, shouted. We have solved this
Shouted.
case ourselves a couple of times.
Yeah.
I mean, we've we had all kind of punishments that we wanted to mete out. But we're going to get this book written.
Yeah.
We're going to get this done. Yeah, because the book is about.
I hope we do. I hope we
I'm
do.
gonna hound you on it. You still got, I'm not letting up. I've started, working on, some of what my prologue and stuff for what y'all have said. But this is a book about moms dealing with kids, adult children that are addicted in their journey and what they have gone through. And I think, this is a must read for anybody. So, yeah.
Well, I just want to call in and say I appreciate y'all, really, and I love y'all.
We
Love you too.
Yeah.
And thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Lois does a good job. She does one of her children was up in treatment up at Black Mountain, and every year she does gift bags for all the adults who are up there in treatment, Christmas gift bags.
Yes.
She takes local donations and takes them up there because for a lot of them, that's all the Christmas they get are those
Right.
gift bags.
A lot of times, and dealing with the rehabs and stuff, a lot of times what has happened is that everybody has discarded them.
Yeah.
They said, that's it. I'm not doing nothing else
They
with
don't
you.
help
I'm
them.
done.
They have nobody.
Because it
Yeah.
is overwhelming.
It is overwhelming.
But it doesn't help the depression that's the
Right.
root of the
Correct.
problem.
It's not solved.
Right.
All right. We have a caller on line 2. Good morning, caller. Who's this? I think I know who it is.
Hey, this is Ernie Lee, the district attorney.
I knew it was
Good
you.
morning.
How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. And I did not get to hear all the comments before. I'm actually got to the office early this morning. I've got a murder case that I'm preparing for, but so I missed some of the comments.
Well, I want to thank you for, not giving up on Paul's case,
Yeah.
and for ensuring that this death by distribution conviction was garnered. And I hope this is the start of many, many, because I think if we don't attack these dealers, we're never going to get a handle on this problem.
Absolutely.
Right.
I agree with you 100%. I'll tell you what, the opioid, the drug problem in this nation, it is an epidemic.
Yes.
Amen.
And we have lost far too many young people.
Yes.
In Onslow County, in my 4-county district, particularly the Sneads Ferry area, we have lost so many young people. And it's just senseless. I mean, we'll never know what these people could have done with their lives.
Yep.
Right.
And it just hurts not only the immediate families, but I think it hurts society as a whole.
It does.
One of the defendants, he pled guilty to death by distribution. Oh, wow, that is something that myself and District Attorney Ben Dave of New Hanover County, we really pushed with the legislature.
Right.
Because prior to that, the only avenue we had was second-degree murder. Now, I'm not saying second-degree murder is not the appropriate charge, because we tried them, but the jurors had a hard time with murder.
Yeah.
They had a hard time with murder. And so therefore, we really pushed this death by distribution. And just by the title alone, you can sort of it makes sense, where you cause a death after distributing or selling some type of illegal drug. And I tell you, it's a Class C felony. I know this defendant got a minimum of 50 months in prison. I'm just very pleased with that. But I'm just so sorry that the family, the mother, the family had to go through this. No one should ever have to see a child pass away before they do.
Well, she's been telling her story, and it's a very compelling, heartfelt story this morning. And I'm glad you called in. We were reading up on the law on this, and I think you were on a show a while back talking about this law.
Yes. Yeah. It's a good law. It's one that it took a lot of work to get this passed. But thankfully, I had a strong ally with Ben David. We got the sheriffs on board.
Right.
We got the police chiefs on board. And we got a lot of other DAs around the state on board.
Amen.
Because both Ben David and I we have adjoining districts. He has Pender and I got Onslow. And we were seeing what was happening in the Sneeze Ferry area, the Hampstead area. And we said, look, we got to get another law out there. And in fact, the legislature, to their credit, not only listened to us, but then passed a really tough law.
Yeah.
Well,
And I hope you will continue to bring these drug dealers,
I know he will.
to court and convict on this. So maybe if word gets out, hey, maybe it'll make a drug dealer think
Yeah.
twice. Maybe not, but maybe, or that just
Right.
put them all away.
Absolutely.
As bad as it sounds, but
It-
we've
it's-
got to do something.
Right. The drug addiction starts with the supplier, and it's a mental health issue, and they are lacing this stuff with fentanyl. They're lacing marijuana with fentanyl. They're lacing the hard drugs with fentanyl, and they're killing a whole generation out there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you got to remember, these people that are making these drugs, distributing these drugs, they're not chemists.
No.
They are not
No.
trained. And basically, their ultimate goal is greed. In other words, to increase their profit.
Yes.
And the way you do that is you put other substances mixed with those drugs to basically increase the quantity.
Yeah.
That way you can sell more. But as a result, people are ingesting things in their bodies. They have no idea what it is. And sometimes it causes death. I'll tell you, if this new law, and again, I appreciate the legislature passing it, if it can just save one life, it's
Yes.
worth it.
Yes,
Amen.
I agree. Yes.
Absolutely.
And at least this is with him being convicted and at least having to serve 4 years.
It's a start.
That's one less dealer out there providing
Absolutely.
drugs to people. I mean, there's a whole bunch more to go, but at least there's one off the streets now.
It's like I told him.
That's absolutely right.
He played doctor to my son's mental health, and now you can pay the price. My son paid the ultimate price, but now he can.
Yeah.
If one drug dealer finds out, if he. What I'm hoping this does is trickle down, and maybe he sits in there long enough to say, I'll never touch drugs again, or I'll never sell drugs again, and maybe help somebody else
Yeah.
to stop. And if it saves, like you said, one person,
Yeah.
that's just awesome. And
Yeah.
and I think that this law is evolving, and I think that you guys are going after him, and because I know the sheriff's department worked hard
They did.
on this case,
Yes.
and they got him.
That's good. We're grateful for that.
Yes.
Well, Ernie, thank you very much. And
Yeah,
thank
thank you
your
for
staff.
Yes.
Tell them we really do appreciate it.
Thank you for all
Yeah.
you do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you guys.
Well, we're going to keep pushing these type
Amen.
cases because I
Yes.
tell you, that one person we may save could be your son or daughter.
That's right.
That's
So
right.
therefore, that's important.
I agree.
So we're going to continue working hard on these cases. I would also encourage the public out there that if you have information about people who are selling, to let law enforcement know, let the DA's office know,
Yes.
and we can start investigating.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. Thank you.
All right. Well, you have a good day. I know you're
Thanks,
busy.
Ernie.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope y'all have a wonderful weekend.
Thank
You
you.
too.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to start somewhere.
Yes.
And I think this is just at first, I hate the circumstances of, us being in here
Right.
this morning talking about this.
Right.
But, I know you well enough to know, I think you're going to continue to crusade.
Yes.
Yes,
absolutely.
definitely do that.
And it just makes me feel so much better that he took the time to
Mhm.
call in
Yeah.
and say we're going to continue to work on this.
Absolutely.
And I you don't know how much that I appreciate, because it just validates
Yeah.
all the stigmatism
Yeah.
that is out there. He's not saying it that either is right, but what he's saying is that it is not right for these drug dealers to be selling these drugs to
Yeah.
people, and they're going after him. And
I agree.
And he's in the
validated-
fight, and I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
We all
Yes.
do.
Yes.
I mean, I'm so glad that that the sheriff's office and the district attorney's office did not give up
Right.
and they stayed with the case.
Right.
And I think that's important and that's key. And I think now that we've got this one conviction down, let's get the rest of them.
Yep.
Right,
Let's
yeah.
let's get it going.
Yeah.
And I think he's on board with that. And I'm
Yes, and
happy to hear
Absolutely.
that.
Very happy to hear that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break. We're live and local real talk on Freedom 97.1, 1120 AM WSME. We'll be right back. And we are back, and we're going to do some weather real quick.
All right. Marine Forecast is brought to you by Tideline Marine. Tideline has some spectacular sales going on through the end of this month, just in time for your Christmas shopping. To see all the specials going on this month, stop by Tideline Marine, 159 Old Bridge Street on the banks of the New River. Today, north winds 10 to 15 knots, becoming northwest 5 to 10 knots this afternoon, seas 2 to 3 feet, dominant period 8 seconds. Saturday, north winds 5 to 10 knots, becoming west in the afternoon, seas 2 to 3 feet, dominant period 8 seconds. And Sunday, northwest winds 15 to 20 knots with gust up to 25 knots, seas 2 to 4 feet.
Today, sunny, high of 54. Tonight, cloudy, low of 31. Tomorrow, sunny, high of 58. Tomorrow night, cloudy, low of 40. Sunday, partly sunny, high of 51. It's going to be gusty. And then Sunday night, it's going to be cold with the low
Cold,
of 26. Yikes.
Right.
Yikes.
And just real quick, don't forget the Cardinals are playing tonight at home. Jacksonville Cardinals, WSME will be there on location broadcasting. Pregame show starts at 6:30. The broadcast for the game starts at 7. And after the show will be a post-game wrap-up sponsored by Golden Corral. Tomorrow morning, WSME, live and local, sports talk, Hollywood Man will all be out at the Christmas parade broadcasting from there. So if it's cold for you, just pull up in your car, turn on the radio, and you can hear it.
All right. Well, I want to thank my good friend, Terry
Yes,
DeSorbo,
thank you.
for coming in and sharing her story and people don't realize this can happen to anybody.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And this has been a nightmare journey that will never end.
No.
But Terry is determined to continue to advocate for Paul and to help other families that, have gone through this. And we will get our book written
Okay.
as a kind of like a manual for parents and just for anybody, because this can affect anybody. So I want to thank you for coming in.
You're
That's
welcome.
right.
I really
Thank
appreciate you doing
Thank you
it.
for
And-
having me.
And I want to thank the Onslow County Sheriff's Office as well as District Attorney Ernie Lee's office for the diligent prosecution and, snare and a conviction of the death by distribution, which is the first here in Onslow County now. And I hope the beginning of many.
Right.
Absolutely. Amen.
Well, thank you for coming in
Yeah.
and sharing your story.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
And up next, don't forget Sports Talk.
All right. You guys have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday. Bye.